The champagne in Sofia Russo's glass had gone flat 20 minutes ago. She didn't drink it anyway. Alcohol dulled the senses, and working for Dante Morelli required every sense firing at maximum capacity every second of every day. She stood near the bar at Eclipse, Dante's newest acquisition, a restaurant so exclusive that senators waited 3 months for a table. The grand opening was tonight, and Sofia had orchestrated every detail. The flowers, imported from Ecuador. The menu, perfected over 6 months of tastings. The guest list, curated with the precision of a surgeon removing a tumor. This was her job, event coordinator for Morelli Hospitality Group. On paper, at least. In reality, she was the woman who made Dante Morelli's legitimate businesses look so clean they sparkled, while his illegitimate ones disappeared into shadow. She was good at it. Too good. Miss Russo! A server appeared at her elbow, young and nervous. The mayor's table is asking about the wine pairing for the second course. Tell them the sommelier will be with them in 3 minutes. Sofia's voice was calm, authoritative. She smoothed the fabric of her black dress. Simple, elegant, expensive enough to blend in but not so expensive it drew attention. And make sure table 7 gets their appetizers before the Antonelli family. Timing. Yes, ma'am. The server scurried away. Sofia allowed herself a small breath of satisfaction. Everything was perfect. The kitchen was running like clockwork. The guests were impressed. Even Dante, holding court in his private booth with Marco in the inner circle, looked almost relaxed. Almost. She could feel his eyes on her. He did that. Watched her move through his spaces like she was a chess piece he was considering moving. It used to unnerve her in the beginning. 3 years ago, when she'd been a struggling wedding planner drowning in debt after her father's gambling had destroyed the family business. Dante had offered her a job, a lifeline. She'd accepted, knowing exactly what it meant. Knowing that working for a man like Dante Morelli meant you belonged to him in ways that had nothing to do with contracts or paychecks. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Sofia! The voice came from behind her, warm and familiar. She turned to find James Cortland, the head bartender Dante had poached from a 5-star hotel in New York. James was classically handsome, charming, and most importantly, gay, which meant he was one of the few men in Dante's orbit who could talk to Sofia without triggering a territorial response. Usually, the Negronis are a hit, James said, leaning against the bar with easy confidence. But we're running low on Campari. I've got Marco sending someone to the warehouse, but I wanted to give you a heads up. Good catch. Sofia made a mental note. Anything else? Yeah. James's smile turned mischievous. You need to breathe. Everything is perfect. Even Dante looks happy, and that man hasn't looked happy since the 90s. Sofia felt the corner of her mouth twitch. Dante doesn't do happy. He does satisfied, strategically pleased, or tolerating the current situation. Well, right now he's doing all 3. James poured something clear and sparkling into a fresh glass. Here, sparkling water with lime. Non-alcoholic, since I know you're on duty. He slid the glass across the polished marble bar top. The gesture was simple, kind, the sort of thing a friend did for another friend at the end of a long, successful night. Sofia looked at the glass, then at James, and for the first time in 3 years of working events that started at dawn and ended at midnight, someone had noticed she was tired. Someone had cared. The smile that broke across her face was unguarded, genuine. The kind of smile she hadn't allowed herself in so long she'd forgotten what it felt like. Thank you, James. Her voice was soft, almost vulnerable. Really? You didn't have to. The sound of shattering glass cut through the ambient noise of conversation and clinking silverware. Every head in the restaurant turned toward the source. Dante Morelli stood beside his booth, his hand dripping with what looked like whiskey and blood. The crystal tumbler he'd been holding was now a glittering puddle of shards on the marble floor. But that wasn't what made the blood drain from Sofia's face. It was his eyes. Dante was staring at her with an expression she'd never seen before. Not anger, not the cold calculation she was used to. This was something primal, possessive, dangerous. His jaw was clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping beneath his skin. His shoulders were rigid. Every line of his body screamed violence, barely contained. Marco, sitting across from him, had gone very still. The kind of still that meant he was calculating exit routes and collateral damage. The restaurant, which had been humming with the pleasant noise of success, fell into a thick, suffocating silence. Dante didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stared at Sofia and the bartender and the innocent glass of sparkling water sitting between them. And then he spoke. Everyone out. His voice was quiet, barely above a conversational tone, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. No one moved. The guests looked at each other, confused. This was Dante Morelli's grand opening, the social event of the season. Surely he didn't mean, I said. Dante's voice rose, gaining an edge that could cut bone. Everyone, out. The restaurant erupted. Chairs scraped. Women grabbed their purses. Men threw cash on tables without counting it. The mayor and his wife practically sprinted for the exit. Socialites who'd waited months for this reservation fled like the building was on fire. Within 2 minutes, the restaurant was empty. Every table abandoned mid-course. Wine glasses still full. Plates of food growing cold. The only people left were Dante's inner circle, Marco, Vincent, Leo, standing like statues near the booth. The kitchen staff, frozen in the doorway, unsure if they should run or stay. And James, behind the bar, looking like he'd just realized he'd accidentally triggered a nuclear launch. And Sofia, standing in the middle of the empty restaurant in her black dress, her heart hammering against her ribs, so hard she thought it might crack them. Dante walked toward her. Each footstep echoed in the cavernous silence. His hand was still bleeding, leaving a trail of red drops on the white marble like a breadcrumb trail to violence. He stopped 3 feet away. Up close, Sofia could see the details she usually missed from across the room. The gold flecks in his dark eyes. The faint scar cutting through his left eyebrow. The way his breath came fast and shallow, like he'd been running. Sofia! Her name on his lips sounded like a prayer and a curse all at once. Dante! She fought to keep her voice steady. What are you doing? The grand opening is over. You just threw out 200 guests. The mayor. The Antonelli family. People who? I don't care. Dante stepped closer. Sofia could smell his cologne now. Something dark and expensive. She could feel the heat radiating off him. Tell me something. What? That smile. His eyes bored into hers. The one you just gave him. When was the last time you smiled at me like that? Sofia's breath caught. What? You heard me. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous and raw. 3 years you've worked for me. 3 years you've stood in my restaurants, my clubs, my world. And I have never, not once, seen you smile like that. Dante, that's not, like you forgot to be afraid. He was closer now, invading her space in a way that should have felt threatening, but somehow felt like gravity. Like someone actually saw you instead of the perfectly controlled machine you show the rest of us. Sofia's mind was racing. This was insane. Dante Morelli didn't do jealousy. He didn't do emotions. He was the man who'd once executed a traitor during Christmas dinner without raising his voice. And he just cleared an entire restaurant because she'd smiled at the bartender. It was just a glass of water, Sofia said, hating how her voice trembled. James was being kind. Kind. Dante repeated the word like it tasted bitter. He was being kind, and you looked at him like he'd given you the world. Because no one ever. Sofia stopped herself, but it was too late. Finish that sentence. It wasn't a request. Sofia closed her eyes. Because no one ever notices when I'm tired, Dante. No one sees past the events and the schedules and the perfection. I'm just the woman who makes things run smoothly. When she opened her eyes, Dante's expression had shifted. The possessive fury was still there, but underneath it, something else. Something that looked almost like pain. You think I don't notice? His voice was barely a whisper now. I know you don't. I notice everything about you, Sofia. Dante reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, tucking it behind her ear. I notice that you take your coffee black with 2 sugars, but only in the morning. Afternoon coffee is espresso, straight, no sugar. I noticed that you wear heels exactly 3 inches high because anything taller throws off your balance when you're moving fast through crowds. I noticed that you bite the inside of your cheek when you're nervous, and you do it so subtly most people miss it. Sofia stared at him, her carefully constructed walls crumbling. I notice, Dante continued, his thumb now tracing the line of her jaw, that you never drink at events because you need control. That you check your phone exactly every 12 minutes like clockwork. That you have a scar on your left wrist that you cover with bracelets, and you flinch when people ask about it. Dante, I notice everything, Sofia. Every single thing. His hand dropped, but he didn't step back. What I didn't notice was that you were waiting for someone to care. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open inside her. Why did you clear the room? Sofia asked. The real reason. Dante's jaw tightened. For a long moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because for 3 years, I've watched you smile at guests, at investors, at strangers who mean nothing. Professional smiles, perfect smiles, smiles that don't reach your eyes. He paused, and then you smiled at James like that, and I realized I've never seen you smile at me. Not once. Not ever. And the thought of him getting something from you that I don't have. He stopped, his hands clenching into fists. What? Sofia whispered. It made me want to burn this entire building down. The confession hung in the air between them. Sofia should have been terrified. This was obsession. Possession. The kind of dangerous fixation that destroyed everything it touched. But when she looked at Dante, really looked at him, she didn't see a monster. She saw a man who'd spent his entire life controlling everything and everyone, who just lost control because of a smile. You're bleeding, she said softly, taking his hand. The napkin he'd wrapped around it was soaked through. I know. We should clean it. In a minute. Dante, did you mean it? His eyes locked on hers. When you smiled at him, were you happy? Sofia could have lied, should have lied, but something about this moment, standing in an empty restaurant that cost $500,000 to open, Dante's blood on her hands, the truth hanging between them like a live wire, made lying impossible. Yes, she admitted. For 5 seconds, someone saw me as a person, not an employee. And it felt good. Dante absorbed this. She watched emotions flicker across his face. Anger, regret, something that looked dangerously like longing. Then I've failed you. His voice was rough. For 3 years, I've demanded perfection. I've taken everything you've given and asked for more. And I never once asked if you were okay. That's not what our arrangement is. Fuck the arrangement. The profanity startled her. Dante never lost his composure. I don't want an arrangement anymore, Sofia. Then what do you want? He stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. I want you to smile at me like you smiled at him. Dante's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. I want to be the one who notices you're tired. I want to be the reason you forget to be afraid. Sofia's breath caught. Dante, you're my boss. Then quit. What? Quit. Walk out. Right now. His eyes were blazing. And then come back as something else. As someone who chooses to be here instead of someone who needs to be. You're insane. Probably. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. But I just cleared a restaurant worth $200,000 in revenue because you smiled at my bartender. Insanity is already established. Despite everything, the chaos, the fear, the sheer absurdity, Sofia felt a laugh bubble up in her chest. This is the worst business decision you've ever made. Best one, Dante corrected. He was looking at her like she was the only person in the world. Sofia Russo, you're fired. You can't fire me in the middle of an event. The event's over. Everyone left. His thumb traced her lower lip. And now I'm asking, not as your boss, as the man who's been half in love with you since you told me the Antonelli wine selection was pedestrian and insulting to my face. Sofia's world tilted. That was 3 years ago. I know. You've been, yes. Why didn't you say anything? Because you needed the job. Dante's voice softened. Your father's debts. The creditors. You needed stability, security. And I wasn't going to take advantage of that. So I waited. I gave you perfection and paychecks and distance. And now I'm tired of distance. His forehead touched hers. Now I'm clearing rooms because another man made you smile. Now I'm bleeding on my own restaurant floor because I shattered a glass with my bare hand watching you be happy with someone else. That's not healthy, Dante. I don't care. His breath was warm against her lips. I don't want healthy. I don't want professional. I want you, Sofia. The real you. The one who smiles when she forgets to guard herself. The one who's standing in front of me right now, trying to decide if I'm crazy or just crazy about you. Sofia looked at him. At the man who controlled half of Chicago, who made politicians nervous, who could order a death with a phone call. The man who just destroyed his own grand opening because he was jealous of a bartender. Both, she whispered. You're both. Is that a yes? To what? To dinner tomorrow. Not as your boss. As the man who wants to be the reason you smile. Sofia felt the last of her resistance crumble. She'd spent 3 years building walls. 3 years staying professional. 3 years pretending she didn't notice the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. And in one violent, chaotic moment, he'd torn it all down. One condition, she said. Name it. You apologize to James. He was just being nice. Dante's jaw tightened. Then, slowly, he nodded. Fine. But he doesn't smile at you like that again. Dante, I'm working on healthy, he muttered. Give me time. Sofia laughed. A real laugh, bright and unguarded. And Dante's entire face transformed. He stared at her like she performed a miracle. Like the sound of her genuine laughter was the most beautiful thing he'd ever heard. There it is, he whispered. That's the smile I wanted. And before Sofia could second-guess herself, before fear or logic could intervene, she rose up on her toes and kissed him. It was soft, brief, a question more than an answer. But when she pulled back, Dante's eyes were burning. Tomorrow, he said, his voice rough. Dinner. Somewhere that's not mine. Where I can't clear the room if I get jealous. That seems wise. Wear that dress. This one. The one that's been driving me insane for 3 years. His hand slid to her waist, possessive and gentle all at once. And Sofia? Yes. From now on, every smile belongs to me. It should have sounded controlling, obsessive, but the way he said it, like he was offering her the world in exchange, made it sound like a promise. We'll negotiate terms, Sofia said, smiling despite herself. I look forward to it. Behind them, Marco cleared his throat. Boss, we should probably address the situation. Dante didn't look away from Sofia. What situation? The empty restaurant. The guests. The mayor called, he's concerned. Tell him there was a gas leak. Everyone gets a full refund and priority reservations for next month. A gas leak that cleared the room in 2 minutes. A very serious gas leak, Dante said flatly. And Marco. Yes, boss. You're in charge of tomorrow's meetings. All of them. I'm busy. Marco blinked. Busy with what? With making sure Sofia smiles at me as much as she smiled at the bartender. Sofia felt heat rise to her cheeks. Dante, say my name like that again. His eyes were dark, dangerous. I dare you. And despite the chaos, despite the insanity, despite everything, Sofia smiled. Sofia didn't sleep that night. She lay in her modest apartment in Lincoln Park, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment over and over. The shattering glass. The empty restaurant. Dante's hand bleeding as he confessed he'd been half in love with her for 3 years. 3 years. She pressed her fingers to her lips, still feeling the ghost of that kiss. Brief, reckless, and completely insane. She'd kissed Dante Morelli. More accurately, she'd kissed her boss. The man who signed her paychecks. The man who could make her disappear with a phone call if he wanted to. Except he wasn't her boss anymore. You're fired. Sofia sat up, running her hands through her hair. The city lights filtered through her sheer curtains, casting shadows across the small bedroom. This apartment was all she had. 1 bedroom, a kitchen the size of a closet, a bathroom with plumbing that groaned like a dying animal. But it was hers, paid for with money she'd earned working for Dante. And now she'd thrown it all away for a smile and a kiss. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. 3:47 a.m. She reached for it, her heart jumping when she saw the name on the screen. Dante, are you awake? Sofia stared at the message. She should ignore it. She should establish boundaries. She should. Her fingers moved before her brain could stop them. Sofia, yes. The response came immediately. Dante, good. I haven't stopped thinking about you. Sofia, that's probably the adrenaline. You shattered a glass with your bare hand. Dante, the glass had it coming. Despite herself, Sofia smiled at her phone like a teenager. Sofia, how's your hand? Dante stitched. Marco called a doctor to the house. He thinks I'm losing my mind. Sofia, are you? There was a pause. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Dante, yes. And I don't care. Sofia's breath caught. Sofia, Dante, we need to talk about what happened. Dante, we will. Tomorrow. Dinner. 7 p.m. I'm picking you up. Sofia, I don't remember agreeing to 7 p.m. Dante, you didn't. I'm telling you. 7 p.m. Wear the black dress. Sofia, the one from tonight is soaked in champagne from the evacuation. Dante, then wear something else. Preferably something I can take off easily. Sofia's face flamed. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Sofia, we haven't even had a first date yet. Dante, we've had 3 years of dates. We just didn't call them that. Every gala, every opening, every late night in my office going over seating charts. Those were dates, Sofia. I was just too much of a coward to name them. Sofia, you've never been a coward in your life. Dante, I was with you. Terrified you'd see how much I wanted you and run. Sofia, and now? Dante, now I've already cleared a restaurant and bled on my own floor. There's nothing left to hide. Sofia closed her eyes. This was dangerous. Dante Morelli wasn't a man you dated casually. He was all or nothing. Obsession or indifference. And she just crossed the line from employee to object of obsession. Sofia, what if this doesn't work? Dante, then we burn together. But at least we'll burn honestly. Sofia, that's not reassuring. Dante, I'm not a reassuring man, Sofia. I'm a man who wants you so badly I can't sleep. Who spent the last 3 hours imagining what you taste like. Who's currently sitting in my office at 4 a.m. because my bed smells like you from the one time you helped me pick out sheets and I can't think straight. Sofia's pulse hammered. This was insane. Reckless. Everything she'd avoided for 3 careful years. Sofia, the sheets are Egyptian cotton, 800 thread count. We picked them because they were practical. Dante, they smell like vanilla and something floral. Your perfume. It's been driving me insane for 6 months. Sofia, 6 months? Dante, since you leaned over my desk to show me the Eclipse floor plan and your hair brushed my shoulder. I've been lost since then. Sofia set the phone down, her hands shaking. She walked to her tiny kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and tried to think rationally. Dante Morelli was dangerous. Not just because of what he did in the shadows, but because of what he could do to her heart. He was possessive, controlling, used to getting exactly what he wanted. And he wanted her. The phone buzzed again. Dante, you stopped responding. Did I scare you? Sofia, yes. Dante, good. You should be scared. I'm not a safe choice, Sofia. Sofia, then why should I say yes to dinner? Dante, because for 3 years you've been safe. Professional. Perfect. And tonight, when you smiled at James, I saw the real you. The one who's tired of being careful. The one who wants someone to see her. Dante, I see you, Sofia. Every part of you. The strength and the exhaustion, and the way you pretend you don't want more than you have. Dante, say yes. Let me give you more. Sofia stared at the messages. She thought about her father, who'd gambled away everything. Who taught her that wanting too much led to ruin. She'd spent her entire adult life being careful, controlled, never reaching for more than she could hold. And she was exhausted. Her fingers moved across the screen. Sofia, 7 p.m. But I'm choosing the restaurant. Dante, done. Sofia, and we're establishing ground rules. Dante, negotiable. Sofia, Dante. Dante, fine. Ground rules. Tomorrow. After I've had at least 6 hours to memorize your face without professional distance between us. Sofia, go to sleep. Dante, only if you do. Sofia, deal. Dante, Sofia. Sofia, yes? Dante, that smile you gave James. I'm going to earn 1,000 of those. Starting tomorrow. Sofia's heart squeezed. Sofia, good night, Dante. Dante, dream of me. She set the phone down and climbed back into bed. And despite everything, the fear, the uncertainty, the absolute insanity of what she was doing, Sofia fell asleep smiling. The next morning arrived with the subtlety of a freight train. Sofia woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Not from Dante. From everyone else. Marco, boss says you're on personal leave. Indefinitely. Is everything okay? James, Sofia, I'm so sorry. I didn't know the water would cause WWI. Are you fired? Do you need a reference? Vincent, security, heard you made the boss lose his mind. Respect. Elena, event staff girl. What happened? The entire city is talking about the Eclipse disaster. Sofia groaned, pulling a pillow over her face. Of course the entire city was talking. Dante had cleared a restaurant full of Chicago's elite in under 2 minutes. The story was probably already on page 6. She grabbed her phone and opened her news app. Sure enough, the headline made her want to die. Morelli meltdown. Mafia prince clears grand opening over mystery woman. There was a photo. Grainy, clearly taken on someone's phone as they fled. It showed Dante standing in the middle of the empty restaurant, his hand bleeding, staring at something off camera. At her. Sofia read the article with growing horror. Dante Morelli, heir to the Morelli crime family and CEO of Morelli Hospitality Group, shocked guests at last night's Eclipse grand opening by abruptly clearing the restaurant mid-service. Witnesses report Morelli became visibly enraged after an interaction between a female staff member and the bartender, though details remain unclear. He just snapped, said one anonymous guest. 1 second everything was fine, the next he was bleeding and screaming at everyone to leave. It was terrifying. Sources close to the family suggest Morelli's behavior may be connected to ongoing territorial disputes with the Salvatore family, though representatives for Morelli Hospitality declined to comment. The identity of the woman at the center of the incident remains unknown. Sofia set the phone down carefully as if it might explode. Unknown. She was unknown. For now. How long would that last? How long before someone connected the dots? Before her face ended up in the papers alongside Dante's? Her phone rang. Dante. She answered. Have you seen the news? Good morning to you too. His voice was rough, like he'd just woken up. And yes, Marco sent me 6 links before I'd even had coffee. Dante, they're calling it a meltdown. They're not wrong. This is serious. The mayor was there. The Antonellis. People are going to ask questions. Let them ask. She heard movement on his end, the sound of footsteps on hardwood. Sofia, I knew what I was doing when I cleared that room. I made a choice. A choice that's going to have consequences. The only consequence I care about is whether you're still planning to have dinner with me tonight. Sofia closed her eyes. Dante, are you? His voice softened. Because if you're not, tell me now. If last night scared you too much, if you want to walk away, I'll let you. I'll make it clean. Severance package, references, I'll even write off your father's remaining debts as settled. What? Your father owed money to 3 different loan sharks when you came to work for me. I bought the debts. All of them. I've been holding them in case you ever wanted to leave. Sofia's breath caught. Why would you do that? Because I needed you to stay. Dante's honesty was brutal, raw. And I needed to know that if you ever left, it was because you wanted to, not because you were trapped. So the debts are gone. Paid. You don't owe me anything, Sofia. You never did. She sat down heavily on her bed. 3 years. 3 years she'd worked thinking she was paying down her father's mistakes. 3 years of 14-hour days and perfect events and careful professional distance. And Dante had freed her from the beginning. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice cracked. Because you needed to believe you were working for the money. You needed the structure, the purpose. And he paused. I needed you close. So I let you believe what you needed to believe. That's manipulative. Yes. That's controlling. Yes. Dante, I know what I am, Sofia. His voice was steady. I'm a man who sees what he wants and takes it. Who controls everything because control is the only thing that kept me alive growing up. But with you, his voice roughened. With you, I'm trying to be different. I'm giving you the choice. Real choice. Walk away right now and you're free. No strings. No debts. No consequences. And if I stay, then you're mine. The possessiveness in his voice sent heat through her body. And I'm yours. No halfway. No professional distance. Just us, figuring out what this is. Sofia looked around her small apartment, at the life she'd built from nothing, at the careful walls she'd constructed. Dante was offering to tear them all down. I'm still choosing the restaurant, she said quietly. She heard his exhale, relief and hunger mixed together. Anywhere you want. And we're going as equals. Not boss and employee. Not benefactor and charity case. Equals. Done. And Dante. Sofia's voice hardened. If you ever manipulate me like that again, holding information, making choices for me, we're done. I don't care how you grew up. I don't care what you're used to. With me, you're honest. Always. There was a pause. Then, agreed. His voice held a note of respect. Anything else? Yes. That article calls me a mystery woman. I want to stay mysterious. I'm not ready for the world to know about us. How long? I don't know. A month. 2. 1 week. Dante's tone was firm. I'll give you 1 week of privacy. After that, I'm taking you to Marcello's on a Friday night and showing the entire city that you're with me. That's not negotiating, Dante. That's me compromising. My first instinct was to put a ring on your finger and a full-page ad in the Tribune. 1 week of secrecy is me showing incredible restraint. Despite herself, Sofia laughed. You're insane. We've established that. She could hear the smile in his voice. 7 p.m., Sofia. I'll pick you up. I'll text you the address. Looking forward to it. He hung up. Sofia sat in the silence of her apartment, her heart racing. She just agreed to date Dante Morelli, the man who'd cleared a restaurant because she smiled at someone else, the man who'd bought her father's debts and never told her, the man who'd been half in love with her for 3 years. She should be terrified. Instead, for the first time in years, she felt alive. At 6:45 p.m., Sofia stood in front of her closet in nothing but a towel, second-guessing every decision that had led her to this moment. She'd chosen Il Posto, a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy. Intimate, quiet, owned by a family that minded their own business. The opposite of Dante's world of flashy openings and carefully orchestrated power plays. But what did you wear to dinner with a man who'd seen you at your most professional for 3 years and was now demanding to see you real? Her phone buzzed. Dante, I'm downstairs. Sofia, you're 15 minutes early. Dante, I've been here for 20. I'm trying to respect boundaries by not coming up. Sofia, stay in the car. I'll be down in 10. Sofia and Dante? Dante, yes? Sofia, stop imagining what I look like getting dressed. Dante, you're wearing the towel. Your hair is wet. You're trying to decide between the blue dress and the red one. Sofia froze. She looked at her bed where both dresses lay. Sofia, how did you, Dante? Because I know you. Blue is safe. Red is a statement. You're trying to decide which version of yourself you want me to see. Sofia, and which one do you want? Dante, neither. I want the real one. The one who wears jeans and your old college sweatshirt when you think no one's watching. Sofia's throat tightened. She opened her closet and pulled out exactly that. Faded jeans. A soft gray sweater. Simple, comfortable, nothing like the polished perfection she usually wore. Sofia, 5 minutes. She dressed quickly, dried her hair just enough to tame it, added minimal makeup. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked soft, young, real. Grabbing her jacket and purse, Sofia headed downstairs. Dante was leaning against a black Mercedes, wearing dark jeans and a leather jacket. No suit, no tie. He looked dangerous and devastating, and nothing like the controlled businessman she was used to. When he saw her, his entire face transformed. Sofia. He said her name like a prayer. She walked toward him, her heart in her throat. You're staring. I'm memorizing. His eyes traced every detail. 3 years of perfect dresses and perfect hair. And this. He gestured to her casual outfit. This is what breaks me. It's just jeans, Dante. It's you. He opened the car door. And you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Sofia slid into the car, her face heating. Dante got in beside her, and suddenly the space felt incredibly small. Intimate, charged with 3 years of unspoken tension. Il Posto, he said, reading the address on her phone. Good choice. Giovanni makes the best osso buco in the city. You know the owner. I know everyone, Sofia. But Giovanni's clean. Family man. He'll be discreet. They drove in charged silence. Dante's hand rested on the gear shift, close enough to touch hers, but not quite. The restraint was palpable. You can ask, Dante said finally. Ask what? Whatever you've been wondering for 3 years. Tonight we're honest. Remember? Sofia looked at him, at the man who'd occupied her thoughts for far longer than she'd ever admitted. Why me? She asked quietly. You could have anyone. Women throw themselves at you. They throw themselves at what I represent. Money, power, danger. Dante's jaw tightened. You're the only one who ever looked at me like I was just a man. You're not just a man, Dante. I know what I am. He glanced at her. But when you walked into my office 3 years ago, desperate and drowning and still too proud to beg, you didn't see the Mafia prince. You saw someone who could help. And when I offered you the job, you didn't thank me. You negotiated. Do you remember that? Sofia smiled despite herself. I told you I wouldn't work weekends. And I told you weekends were non-negotiable. And I said then I'd find someone else to extort. Dante laughed, the sound genuine and warm. You called me an extortionist to my face. Marco wanted to throw you out. Vincent thought you had a death wish. What did you think? Dante pulled up to the restaurant, parking in a spot that absolutely wasn't legal. He turned to her, his eyes intense. I thought I'd finally met someone who wasn't afraid of me. And I wanted to keep you. He got out, came around, and opened her door. As Sofia stepped out into the cool Chicago night, Dante offered his hand. She took it, and together they walked into Il Posto, leaving the chaos of last night behind and stepping into something infinitely more dangerous. The truth. Il Posto smelled like garlic, wine, and decades of family recipes soaked into the walls. It was small, maybe 15 tables, with checkered tablecloths and candles stuck in old Chianti bottles. The kind of place that survived on loyalty, not Instagram posts. Giovanni himself greeted them at the door. He was in his 60s, round-bellied, with a face that looked like it smiled often. But when he saw Dante, something shifted. A flash of recognition. Calculation. Respect mixed with wariness. Mr. Morelli. Giovanni's handshake was firm. It's been a long time. Too long, Giovanni. Dante's voice was warm but held an edge. I need the back corner. The private one. Of course, of course. Giovanni's eyes flicked to Sofia, curious but too smart to ask. And the lady is with me. Dante's hand settled on Sofia's lower back, possessive. Which means she's family. Understood? The weight of that word, family, hung in the air like incense. Giovanni nodded slowly. Understood. Come, I have just the table. He led them through the restaurant. A few diners looked up, did double takes when they recognized Dante. Whispers started, phones came out. Sofia felt Dante tense beside her. Ignore them, she murmured. They're taking pictures. Let them. We're just 2 people having dinner. Dante's hand tightened on her back. After last night, we're not just anything. Giovanni seated them in a corner booth, partially hidden by a wooden screen carved with grapevines. It was intimate, secluded, the kind of spot where you could have conversations you didn't want overheard. Wine? Giovanni asked. The Barolo, Dante said. The 2015, if you still have it. For you. Always. Giovanni disappeared. Sofia settled into the booth, acutely aware of how close Dante was. Their knees touched under the table. She could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive with notes of cedar and smoke. You're nervous, Dante observed. I've never been on a real date with you. We've had 100 dates. We've had 100 work events where I made sure you didn't kill anyone for using the wrong fork. Dante's lips twitched. That was one time. And he deserved it for calling your centerpieces pedestrian. You threatened to break his hands, Dante. I showed restraint. I could have actually broken them. Sofia laughed despite herself. This was the Dante she glimpsed in unguarded moments. Sharp, darkly funny, dangerous but somehow playful with it. Giovanni returned with the wine, poured 2 glasses and tactfully vanished. Dante raised his glass. To honesty. Sofia clinked hers against his. And ground rules. I'm listening. She took a sip. The wine was incredible, rich and complex, and gathered her thoughts. First rule, no more clearing restaurants. I can't promise that. Dante, I can promise I'll try. His eyes were serious. But if another man looks at you the way I want to look at you, I can't guarantee my response will be rational. That's a problem. That's obsession. He didn't look away. I told you I'm not safe, Sofia. This is what you're getting. A man who spent 3 years watching every move you make. Who knows your coffee order and your shoe size and the exact way you tilt your head when you're thinking. I'm not going to suddenly become calm about sharing you. Sofia's pulse jumped. I'm not asking you to share me. I'm asking you not to terrorize innocent bartenders. James wasn't innocent. He made you smile. He was being kind. And I'm grateful. Dante leaned forward. Grateful enough that I sent him a bonus this morning. $10,000. And a polite suggestion that he transfer to our Miami location. Sofia's mouth fell open. You what? He'll make twice the salary. Better hours. Beachfront apartment included. Dante's expression was completely serious. I'm not a monster, Sofia. I'm just removing temptation. By bribing my friends to move to another state. He's not your friend. He's an employee who got too comfortable. Dante's voice dropped. And he's lucky I'm trying to be better. The old me would have handled it differently. The threat was implicit, clear, terrifying. And somehow, instead of running, Sofia felt a dark thrill curl in her stomach. You're impossible, she said. You're still here. I'm reconsidering. No, you're not. Dante reached across the table, taking her hand. His thumb traced her knuckles. You're trying to decide if you're as twisted as I am for finding this attractive. Sofia tried to pull her hand back. He held firm. Let me save you the suspense, Dante continued, his voice low and intimate. You've been working for me for 3 years, Sofia. You've seen what I do. The deals, the threats, the carefully orchestrated violence. And you never flinched. You never ran. You want to know why? Enlighten me. Because you understand power. His eyes bore into hers. You grew up watching your father grovel to loan sharks, watching weakness destroy everything. And you swore you'd never be weak again. That's why you're here with me, instead of some nice accountant who'd bore you to tears. The observation cut too close. You don't know me as well as you think, Sofia said, but her voice wavered. I know you stayed late every Friday for 3 years. Not because I asked. Because you wanted to prove you were indispensable. Dante's thumb was still tracing patterns on her hand. I know you drive a car that's 15 years old even though you could afford better, because spending money on yourself feels dangerous. I know you haven't been on a date since you started working for me. Sofia's breath caught. How do you? Because I pay attention. His intensity was overwhelming. And because I made sure of it. What does that mean? Dante was quiet for a moment. Then, it means I may have discouraged certain individuals from pursuing you. Sofia pulled her hand back. This time he let her. Define discouraged. A few subtle suggestions. Background checks that revealed unfortunate information. One very direct conversation with a stockbroker who couldn't take a hint. Dante. Sofia's voice was dangerous. Tell me you didn't. His name was Michael. He asked you out 6 times. Sent flowers to your office. And he was skimming from his clients' accounts. Dante's expression was unapologetic. I simply made sure the SEC received an anonymous tip. He was arrested 3 days later. That's not your decision to make. He was a criminal. So are you. Exactly. Dante leaned back. Which is why I know the difference between men like me and men like him. I'm a criminal with a code. He was just greedy. You deserve better. I deserve the choice. You're right. The admission surprised her. You did. And I took it away because I couldn't stand watching other men try to claim what I wanted. The raw honesty in his voice diffused some of her anger. This is what I meant, Sofia said quietly. This controlling, manipulative, obsessive, possessive, completely unhinged behavior. Dante finished. I know. It's who I am, Sofia. I'm trying to warn you before you get in too deep. I think I'm already in too deep. Good. His eyes darkened. Because I've been drowning for 3 years. The waiter appeared, breaking the tension. They ordered osso buco for him, butternut squash ravioli for her, and fell into a different kind of silence. Ground rule number 2, Sofia said when they were alone again. Honesty works both ways. You don't get to run background checks on my life without telling me. Agreed. And you tell me about your world. The real one. Not the sanitized version. Dante's jaw tightened. Why? Because if I'm doing this, if I'm letting you into my life, I need to know what I'm walking into. No surprises. You want to know about the family business. I want to know about you. Dante looked at her for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, scrolled through it, and set it on the table between them. On the screen was a photo. A younger Dante, maybe 19, standing next to an older man who had the same dark eyes and hard jaw. My father, Dante said. Vittorio Morelli. He ran the family for 30 years. Ruthless, brilliant, and completely devoid of anything resembling mercy. Sofia studied the photo. You look like him. I am him. In all the ways that matter. Dante's voice was flat. He taught me everything. How to read a room. How to identify weakness. How to kill a man without hesitation if he betrayed us. Dante, you wanted honesty. His eyes met hers. I've killed 3 people, Sofia. One when I was 20 because he put a hit out on my father. One when I was 25 because he tried to muscle in on our territory and wouldn't negotiate. And one 6 months ago because he touched a woman who worked for us, and I don't tolerate that. The confession should have sent her running. Instead, Sofia felt a strange calm settle over her. Did they deserve it? She asked. Does it matter? To me? Yes. Dante considered this. The first one, absolutely. He was a traitor. The second one, probably. He killed 2 of our guys first. The third, his voice hardened. He deserved worse than what I gave him. Sofia processed this. She'd known, intellectually, what Dante was, but hearing it stated so bluntly made it real. Are you afraid? Dante asked quietly. Of you? No. Why not? Because in 3 years, you never once made me feel unsafe. Sofia met his eyes. Controlled, yes. Watched, definitely. But never unsafe. You've had 1,000 opportunities to hurt me, Dante. You never did. That doesn't mean I'm not dangerous. Everyone's dangerous in the right circumstances. Sofia leaned forward. The difference is, you're honest about it. You're not pretending to be something you're not. And that's enough for you? I don't know yet. Sofia's honesty matched his. But I'm willing to find out. Their food arrived. Giovanni set the plates down with a knowing smile and disappeared again. They ate in charged silence for a while. The osso buco was perfect, the meat falling off the bone, the sauce rich and complex. Sofia's ravioli was delicate, the sage butter sauce light and fragrant. Your turn, Dante said, cutting into his meat. Ask me something. Something you all want to answer? Those are the only questions worth asking. Sofia thought carefully. Why haven't you dated anyone seriously? In 3 years, I've planned events where you've had different women on your arm every time. But none of them lasted more than a month. Dante set down his fork. Because I was waiting for you. That's not an answer. That's a deflection. It's the truth. He met her eyes. But if you want the deeper truth, it's because I watched my father marry 3 times. Each time to a woman who wanted the name, the money, the power. None of them wanted him. And he didn't want them either. It was all strategy, alliances, mergers disguised as marriage. That sounds lonely. It was efficient. Dante's voice was cold. Love is a weakness in our world. It gives your enemies leverage. It makes you vulnerable. Then why pursue this? Why pursue me? Because I'm tired of efficient. The raw emotion in his voice made Sofia's chest tighten. I'm tired of strategy and careful distance. I want something real, Sofia, even if it destroys me. That's dramatic. That's honest. He reached across the table again, taking her hand. You asked about my world. Here's the truth. I have enemies. Families who want what I have. Rivals who'd love to see me weak. If they find out about you, If they realize you matter to me, you become a target. Sofia's stomach dropped. Like last night, when you cleared the restaurant. Exactly. I showed weakness. I showed them you matter. Dante's grip tightened. And now you're in danger because of me. So what do? We have two options. Dante's voice was steady, controlled. Option 1, we end this now. I set you up somewhere safe, far from Chicago. New identity, new life. You disappear, and I make sure no one ever finds you. And option 2, you stay. We do this. And I surround you with enough security that anyone who even thinks about touching you dies screaming. The casualness with which he said it should have horrified her. Instead, Sofia felt a dark thrill. Those are extreme options, she said. I'm an extreme man. What if I want option 3? Where I stay, we date, and we're just... Careful? Dante laughed, bitter and sharp. There is no careful with me, Sofia. There's only all in or completely out. I cleared a restaurant because you smiled at someone. Do you really think I can do careful? You could try. I could lie. Dante's eyes were intense. But I promised you honesty. So here it is. If you stay, I will be possessive. I will be obsessive. I will know where you are every second of the day because the thought of you in danger makes me insane. I will eliminate threats before you even know they exist. And I will expect you to be mine. Completely. No halfway. Sofia's pulse was racing. That's a lot. It's everything. Dante stood up, walked around the table, and slid into the booth next to her. Suddenly he was close, overwhelming, his thigh pressed against hers. So I need you to decide, Sofia. Right now. Are you in or out? That's not fair. Life's not fair. His hand came up to cup her face. But I am trying to give you a choice. The one choice I can give you. Because once you say yes, once you're mine, I won't let you go. Ever. Sofia looked into his eyes. She saw the truth there. The obsession. The danger. The absolute certainty that he meant every word. She should say no. She should run. She should choose the safe option. Instead, she thought about 3 years of perfect professionalism. 3 years of going home alone to her tiny apartment. 3 years of being safe, controlled, careful. 3 years of being half alive. I have one condition, Sofia said. Name it. You don't get to make decisions for me. Not about my safety, not about my life. We're partners, Dante. Equal partners. Or this doesn't work. I can't promise I won't try to protect you. I'm not asking you not to protect me. I'm asking you to respect me enough to let me choose how I'm protected. Dante was quiet for a long moment. She could see the war happening behind his eyes. Control versus trust. The need to dominate versus the need to keep her. Okay, he said finally. Partners. Equal. But Sofia, yes. That means you tell me everything too. Every fear. Every doubt. Every moment you feel unsafe. Because I can only protect you if I know what I'm protecting you from. Deal. Then we're doing this. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. We're doing this, Sofia confirmed. Dante's smile was slow, dangerous, and absolutely devastating. Good. Because I've been waiting 3 years to do this. He kissed her. Not the soft, questioning kiss from last night. This was claiming. Possession. 3 years of restraint shattering into desperate hunger. His hand tangled in her hair, tilting her head back. His other hand gripped her waist, pulling her against him. Sofia gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, could only feel. When they finally broke apart, Sofia was trembling. We're in a restaurant, she managed to say. I own half the restaurants in the city. I don't care. Dante's voice was rough. Do you know how long I've wanted to do that? 3 years, apparently. 3 years. 2 months and 17 days. His thumb traced her swollen lower lip. Since the day you walked into my office wearing that gray suit and told me you'd work for me, but you wouldn't be intimidated by me. I was terrified of you. You hid it well. He kissed her again, softer this time. You still do. I'm not terrified anymore. You should be. But he was smiling when he said it. I'm about to become very demanding. I can handle demanding. Can you handle obsessive? Sofia looked at him. At the man who'd cleared a restaurant for her, who'd waited 3 years, who was offering her everything and asking for the same in return. "I guess we'll find out," she said. Dante's laugh was low and warm. He pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. "Last night, I cleared a room because you smiled at someone else. Do you know what I'm going to do now that you're mine? Terrify me? Worship you?" His voice was fierce. "And God help anyone who tries to take you from me." Sofia believed him. And for the first time in 3 years, she wasn't afraid of what that meant. 3 weeks later, Sofia stood in Dante's penthouse wearing nothing but his dress shirt and watching the sunrise paint Chicago gold. 3 weeks of careful dates. 3 weeks of stolen kisses. 3 weeks of Dante actually trying, to be less controlling. He was failing spectacularly. "You're thinking too loud." Dante's voice came from behind her. His arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. "What's wrong? Your head of security followed me to the grocery store yesterday. Vincent was in the neighborhood. The grocery store is in Lincoln Park. You live in River North." Dante was quiet. Then, he was being thorough. Sofia turned in his arms. "Dante, the Salvatores are making moves. I'm not taking chances. You promised we'd be partners. We are partners. Partners protect each other." His jaw was tight. "I can't lose you, Sofia." The vulnerability in his voice melted her anger. "You won't, but you need to trust me." "I do trust you. I don't trust the world." Sofia cupped his face. "Then we make them trust me. No more hiding. No more mystery woman. You said 1 week. It's been 3. Dante's eyes darkened. "You want to go public? I want to stop sneaking around like we're doing something wrong. Friday night. Marcello's." His voice was firm. "I'll show the entire city you're mine." "That's very possessive." "I'm aware." He kissed her, hard and claiming. "Any objections?" Sofia smiled against his lips. "Just one." "What?" "I'm choosing my own dress this time." The flash of cameras was blinding. Sofia stepped out of Dante's car wearing a red dress that wasn't safe, wasn't professional, wasn't anything but a declaration. Dante's hand settled on her lower back as reporters shouted questions. "Mr. Morelli, who's the woman? Dante, is this serious? Is she connected to the Eclipse incident?" Dante stopped. He looked at Sofia, asking permission with his eyes. She nodded. "Her name is Sofia Russo." Dante's voice carried authority. "She's brilliant, beautiful, and mine. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly." The cameras went wild. Sofia felt Dante's hand tighten protectively on her waist as they walked into the restaurant. Every head turned. Whispers erupted like wildfire, but Sofia didn't care. Because Dante was looking at her like she was the only person in the room. Like he'd clear 1,000 restaurants just to keep her smiling. They sat at his usual table, the one in the back corner where he could see everything. "No regrets?" Dante asked. Sofia thought about the bartender. The smile that had started everything. The chaos and danger and absolutely insane obsession. And she smiled, genuinely, freely, the kind of smile she'd given James that night. But this time, it was for Dante. "No regrets," she said. Dante's answering smile was devastating. "Good. Because you're stuck with me now." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise." He raised his wine glass. "To the woman who smiled at my bartender and changed my entire world." Sofia clinked her glass against his. "To the man who cleared a restaurant because he was jealous. Best decision I ever made. Worst business decision. Best personal decision." Dante's eyes were intense. "I'd do it again. 1,000 times." "That's obsessive. That's love." The word hung between them, heavy and true. Sofia's breath caught. "Dante, I love you, Sofia." He said it clearly, loudly enough that nearby tables could hear. "I've loved you since you told me the wine selection was pedestrian. And I'll love you until the day I die." The restaurant had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching, waiting. Sofia looked at the man who'd turned her world upside down, who'd been possessive and controlling and absolutely impossible, who'd also been honest, protective, and completely devoted. "I love you too," she said, "even though you're insane. Especially because I'm insane." Dante stood, pulled her up, and kissed her in front of God and everyone. The restaurant erupted in applause, and Sofia laughed against his mouth, thinking about how one smile had led to all of this. "Still want to clear the room?" she teased. Dante pulled back, looking around at the watching crowd. For a moment, Sofia saw the calculation in his eyes, the territorial instinct. Then he looked at her smile and visibly relaxed. "No," he said, surprising them both. "Let them watch. Let them see exactly who you belong to." "Partners," Sofia reminded him. "Partners," Dante agreed, "who also happen to belong to each other. That's better. I'm learning." He sat back down, pulling her chair close to his, possessive, but asking permission with his eyes. Sofia let him. Because love, she was learning, wasn't about being safe. It was about being seen. And Dante Morelli saw all of her, the strength and the fear, and the woman who'd smiled at a bartender and accidentally captured the heart of Chicago's most dangerous man. "One more thing," Dante said, pulling something from his pocket. Sofia's heart stopped. It was a small velvet box. "Dante, we've been together 3 weeks. 3 years, he corrected. "I've just been waiting for you to catch up." He opened the box. Inside was a ring, emerald-cut diamond, vintage, absolutely breathtaking. "Marry me, Sofia. Be my partner in everything. Business, life, all of it." "That's insane." "Say yes anyway." Sofia looked at the ring. At Dante. At the future he was offering. Chaotic, dangerous, and completely honest. She thought about her father's warning, never want too much. And she decided she was done with careful. "Yes," she said. Dante's smile could have lit the city. He slid the ring onto her finger, kissed her senseless, and when they finally broke apart, the entire restaurant was applauding again. "You know this is going to be in every paper tomorrow," Sofia said. "Good." Dante's voice was fierce. "Let everyone know you're mine." "Yours," Sofia agreed. "And you're mine. Always." And as they sat in Marcello's, surrounded by witnesses and cameras and the whole watching world, Sofia realized something. She'd smiled at a bartender and cleared a room. But more importantly, she'd smiled at herself in the mirror that morning and actually liked what she saw. Because Dante hadn't just claimed her. He'd freed her. And that was worth every chaotic, obsessive, absolutely perfect moment. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love the story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.